Hi everybody and welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. Today is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, and I'm not normally with you on Wednesday. It's usually Tuesdays, but we had an emergency, family emergency yesterday, and I needed to be at my daughter's to help. So I appreciate everybody understanding. I hope you're ready for a really great fun fold. This is absolutely one of my favorites, primarily because it's so versatile and you can use it for any occasion and almost any stamp set and dies. I am going to make one step by step, walk you through it, but then I have three more to show you, all different, all using different products so that you can see how versatile it is. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you see. The products I show you are products I bought. I use products from everywhere. I have no affiliations, so I truly am using what I love. So I hope you'll sit back and enjoy the next 30 minutes or so, and let's have some fun. I'm going to switch this over. Okay, today I am using the Sentimental Florals Stamp Set and Dies, and this is from Concord and Ninth. I absolutely love this stamp and die set, primarily because it's really easy, very versatile and simple, and you can make some beautiful cards. We are going to use it for the card that I'm making with you this evening, but then I have a stepped up version of that card using different papers, and then two more cards from other sets that I have. I did go ahead and cut these out because I wanted you to see what they actually looked like and just quickly how you can put them together. Because I am using them for the card. So you have two small and large flower die, and then you have the centers for the backs of these where you have the holes, where you can actually put them together and have them have those like the center of your flower, and that's these. You have a couple different leaves, single leaves. You have some leaf branches here. You have these little tiny flowers, and this one goes right on top there to make it like two-tone, or you could use it individually, I suppose. This is a single one. These go with these small stems here. Then you have this scalloped edge die. I did not cut that out. And then you have a smooth edged, and this will fit on there. But then this die, which stamps or die cuts high, also will fit on top of this. So lots of options for using these dies with this stamp set. So I'm going to scoot these off to the side so that I don't lose them. And then the stamp set has this large frame. We are going to be using this evening. There is not a die to cut that out. But then you also have these floral images that you can stamp, very similar to the dies that I showed you. And then you have these great centers. Hopefully you can see those for that square that I showed you that you can die cut. And we'll be using one of these tonight also. So let's get started. Let's have some fun. So we're going to start off, I'm going to set that over there. We're going to start off with, I am using all Spellbinders cardstock. But I'm using this light blue. Now the card base is 6.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 2.25 inches. So we're going to go ahead and fold this on the score line, and I'm going to burnish it with a bone folder. Now this flap is going to be to the your left side. Now, the next thing is we are going to have, or this fold, we're going to have a front flap. Now, these measure 3¼ inches, let me see, by 4½. And then this one is 3 by 4¼ Now, I did use die cuts for these. I'm using my A2 piercing dies from Waffle Flower, just because it was an easy layering. But I will have a tutorial for you tomorrow that will have all the instructions. You can download it, and with pictures and how to put the card together. And I'll have just plain measurements in there for you too. So that's going to be our front flap. Now I'm using patterned paper, and it's from scrapbook.com. It's called Charming. And it comes in a large and a 4¼ by 5. I think this is 6 by 8. I took a 6 by 8 piece, but this is really pretty paper. It is two-sided, so you have lots of options for this. You have all kinds of patterns, polka dots, stripes, plaids, florals, solids. So I've used a piece. This is the piece that I used for this card. So I cut a piece that's 2⅛ inches by 5�3. I wanted just a real small border around from the cardstock. So we're going to go ahead and glue that on. Hi, Linda, Denise. Thank you for joining, and everyone who's with me live. And thank you if you catch it on the replay. So we're just going to go ahead and adhere this with just a very slight border all the way around. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let's just tuck that side in a little bit. I'm gonna pull this up and scoot it over a little bit on the bottom. Yes, it is scooting. There we go. All right, so that's our card base. I'm gonna set that off to the side. Now we're gonna use this large stamp. And I already cut this out. So when I do stamp it, it is going to stamp a little bit off the edges, and I'm okay with that. So I am going to use my stamping tool, and I'm going to lay this in here on my sticky mat and make sure it's straight. And then I'm going to put this down where I think I want it. And we're going to go ahead and close this and pick it up. Okay, so I am using a Dark Night, it's called. It is ink by Altenew. Oops, and I am using just a small stamp or stamp pad, because I can't get all of them in large sizes at this point. So I'm fine. And actually, I'm learning to use these even for blending, and they actually work great. So I'm finding, especially when I use my stamp tool here, my MISTI, that I don't get as much or any along the plate. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to give this, with my little Chucky tool here, a light press. And you can see it did not cover completely, and I'll probably stamp this 2 or 3 times. I don't want to press hard onto the photopolymer. I don't want to press those photopolymer stamps down too hard, because when you do, it kind of distorts the image and you don't get as crisp or smooth of an image as if you lightly stamp it and just go back over it a couple times. So I hope you all had a great weekend and had some fun time for crafting or with family. We spent time with family, and I did some more cards. So, all right, we're almost there, a little bit more. And especially since this is such dark ink, I want to get it all filled in. Now, I did use this stamp several times, so it was conditioned. But let's just keep going here. Hopefully the third time's a charm. I'm going to go ahead and just give it a good press. And that looks pretty good. We're going to go with that. So let me cover up this ink because I already am wearing it on one finger. And we're going to go ahead and take this off. We'll clean that after. So this is going to get layered right on to our panel here. And I'm just going to glue it down. Hey Renee, hi Cheryl, thank you for joining. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna, the only thing on this card I'm going to pop up, and I think you'll see why as we go, is our greeting. So we're just gonna go ahead and just gonna turn this over and give it a good press. I keep my hands off the stamped image. All right, now this is going to adhere to this fold on the left. And so when applying your adhesive, and I'm going to use glue, you only want to apply it to the part of the backing that's going to adhere. So I typically will mark mine with a finger, and I know not to go past that area. And I am using glue. Because that allows me to slide since I do nothing straight. And this is like that. I'm going to turn this over. Let's make sure I have that correct. Yep. All right. I'm going to turn that over and just make sure this is straight. And I'm going to look for about, say, even amount, top and bottom. And that looks pretty good. Just tap it down and then turn it back over and make sure it's straight and give it a good press. So to make sure it's adhered. So there's our card base. Now we need to decorate this. And this is where all those flowers come in that I showed you that had die cut and how you put them together. I picked up the yellows and oranges from the paper, and I'm going to pull this up for you to see a little bit closer. You can see in that stamp design, you have open areas for the flowers. There's one for a large one of the, or two of these, and then you have the two smaller flowers over here. And then these little, what look like pegs, are actually stems for some of these small flowers. So we're going to go ahead and add those, and I am just going to glue these down. So let's see how we want to put these together. There's a large yellow, and let's try this one here. This one's going to go in like that. This one can go here. And then we have some room for some small flowers. And it looks like we might be short one, but we have one of them from the die cuts that I showed you. So we're just going to pull that in. And we'll be able to put that together. So let's glue these down. I did try actually popping them up. And I didn't like the way it looked. Partly because it just was so bulky. I guess if I was handing the card to somebody, I would be okay with it, but it just seemed to have too many bulges. And I thought, well, let's just glue them down. And I actually liked them glued down a little better. So let's add this here. I love blue, dark blue with yellow and orange, especially in the fall. I just think it's so pretty. So now we have these little flowers, and you can see I've put some together already. So I'm going to bring in my small glue, and I'm just going to put a dot here, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick this up and just put that down. And then we have another one that's put together. And let's do this one down here too, since it's yellow. Make sure it's there. And then we're going to put these together. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of glue here. And then add this to the back. And you can see they go together really pretty easily. And then all you have to do is glue them down. And we're going to put this one right here. Okay. So next is our greeting. So I went ahead and I stamped the hello there, wishing you nicest of days. And I die cut it after I stamped it with the square from the die cuts. And instead of backing it or mounting it on that scalloped one, I decided just to mount it here. But I did pop this up, and I just cut a piece of foam backing, and I'm going to peel it off and put that right here. And make sure it's straight before I press it down. There we go. So there's the front of the card. Now for the inside of the card, and I'm going to show you a couple options with the other cards of what I did for the inside. For this one, I cut a 4 by 5 1/4. And I just took another strip, if this is a 1 inch by 5 1/4 of matching cardstock or patterned paper, because this is a good thickness. And I'm just going to adhere it to the edge. I'm going to pull this over and just make sure my edges are together nicely. And then we're going to adhere this inside the card. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, the one thing I will say about this design is that when you're writing, you have to be careful not to write in the area that you're going to see from the outside. So here's our card. Now we could add a couple gems. But I really like it just as it is. I think there's a lot on the front of it. So I'm not really sure that I need anything. But here's our card. Very easy, very versatile. You can use it for every occasion. Not only that, I love that stamp set by Concord and Ninth. Now let me show you one that I stepped up using just different designer series paper, still from that charming patterned collection from scrapbook.com. This I switched the colors up, and here you can see I layered it. I'm using like a forest green, and I used a different paper, so I layered it so that you have a couple different layers there. I did the same for the flap, except just different colors. But on the inside, I put a layer of the forest green and then cut another white square this size and glued it on right behind the flap so that you know exactly where to write. And then just added a flower. So easy card, stepped up version. Now let me show you two more. You saw me use the Sensational Zinnias, I think a couple weeks ago, that was a Gina K product. Well, I cut this down, and for my front flap, here I embossed and cut just a 2¼ by 5½ inch strip and actually glued it to that fold. And then I used the same die cuts or the same measurements. I think this is not a die cut. The black is just cut. But this is the white layer. I used a die to cut out the flowers. And then on the inside, I layered black and then a larger layer of white. So again, another way to use this fun fold, using embossing folders and even your own paper that you've made by either blending or stamping. My fourth one, I used a Christmas card. Forget the name. I'll put it in the note in my blog post, but it's mistletoe. It is a Gina K product. And I used a Simon Says embossing folder for snow. This one is foiled, and I'm actually going to be doing a class on the foiling. I'm hoping to do it next week. I don't know if you can see that shimmer, but I just die cut the image and then adhered it to my front layer. And then on the inside, I did the same thing with the two layers. I cut them to go behind the front flap. So 4 different ideas. Let me bring you back to me. I hope you enjoyed that. So really, it is one of my go-to fun folds because I can change it up and add to it. Even for the front, instead of using rectangles, you could use squares. You could use ovals. It's just very versatile. So if you enjoyed tonight's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. It helps me grow my channel, especially as I am working to move on using a variety of products. Feel free to share it. I will have my blog post up by, I hope, noon tomorrow, where you'll be able to go see the cards close up. There'll be a tutorial that you can download for the card we made and close-up photos of the other one with some information there. I hope you have a great evening. Stay safe and well. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join me. I really appreciate it. And have a great weekend. I'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Bye, everybody.